Thank you all, thank you, John, and thank you for the donation to the Judge Racer Dayton, Chaminade High School, and University of Dayton undergrad, University of Toledo Law School. Back to Dayton to practice law, started as a prosecutor in Lee Falkey's office back in the day, and went over to juvenile court to fill in for 2 weeks. And that was in 1975, and I felt like I had a better idea. You know, maybe we could do this better. And, you know, I always had that idea that, and I think my parents instilled in me that, you know, if you didn't like the way something happened for 18 years, but I spent a lot of time in various jobs in the juvenile justice system. I was lucky enough to work in the system back in the day when you could have a private practice of law at the same time. So I had a private law practice and up until the time I became a judge in 1994. I ran and was elected 3 terms. This is my 4th term, my last term, and I didn't think I would have opposition in my last term. You generally don't, but I had a person that worked for me that I had to terminate, and that person decided to run against me. I don't know why. Then another person in that other party, I can't remember what party that is, decided, well, there's an opening here, I'm just going to jump in. So I have 2 people running against me. They're both fairly good people. I don't know anything bad about them. They're good people. They don't have any kind of experience with regards to the kinds of things that I've been through over the years. And I just believe that juvenile law is not a really complicated law. It's pretty simple. There are statutes that define everything. Really, you just apply the facts to the recipe and say, you know, here's what it is. The real issue in juvenile justice is knowing what to do with that person, that child, or that family that's in front of you right now for disposition. That's when all the experience that you can gather helps you to make the right decisions. And there's one thing I'm good at. I'm not a good artist. I'm not the brightest lawyer in town. I am probably not a perfect person, although my mother thought I was. But I'm not. And but I am darn good at making decisions. I just have a knack for it. And I don't worry about people say, why do you do that? As long as you've been down there, why do you want to keep doing that? I said, I love it. I get up every morning happy to go to work, still. And I've been driving down I-75 fighting those barrels since, 1970. It fits for me, and I want to keep doing it. I have been involved in the last about 6 years. I've been what's called the administrative judge. Judge Capizzi, I call him the younger judge, and the baseball judge, and the Energizer Bunny. If you know him, he just never stops moving. But so I'm the senior judge in service, so I'm the administrative judge. And since I've been the administrative judge, lots of good things have happened. And I think that, I have some responsibility for that, or I can take some credit for it. And that is generally, I make good decisions, so I decide this is a good project to pursue, or this is a good person to become a part of our system. And they turn out to be pretty good. What I do is get out of their way. I hear my cases and make the decisions that need to be made, and I try to get out of their way, let them run the system. Now, I've had a few good ideas across the period of time that I've been there, and one of the things we have is our intervention center, which is like an intake center, but it operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I call it our emergency room. So it's a police officer that picks up the child, no matter what they've been charged with. If they believe that the child should be evaluated, they can transport them to the juvenile court, and we have staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, who evaluate them. And we have staff from other facilities, like Children's Services and Mental Health and MRDD, people who work with us, and they're paid by their various organizations, but they all come into this triage center. I call it our emergency room, and we triage these kids, and we decide, well, can we refer them or make an intervention with them and their family and send them back home, or could we place them outside of their home in a foster home for an emergency situation? Or do we need to admit them to our hospital? Now, that's our detention center. I don't call it a jail. It's not a jail. I call it our hospital because we admit them there to keep them safe while we're determining whether or not, under due process, they are responsible for what brought them there. And then we want to determine what's going to happen to them, or what are we going to do to try to change them. I'm happy to say that we are not afraid of the word punishment. We believe that children need to be punished when they do something wrong. We, however, believe that punishment or appropriate consequences are the first step towards rehabilitation. So unless you have an identifiable consequence, then you shouldn't be making decisions in our court. And that's what we tell our magistrates. We have 2 judges, and we have 10 magistrates who hear cases for us. The reason for that is that we have 25,000, anywhere from 20 to 25,000 referrals every year. And 2 judges cannot hear that many cases. So we also determine, parentage of a child, who the parents are, pretty important. And we determine if parental rights are being taken away from a parent. That's like a death penalty. When I started in this business, I wanted to raise the level of resources being applied in juvenile justice. So be it good or bad sometimes, I don't like big government either, but I think we ought to put our money where it counts. And so since I've been involved in the juvenile court, our budget went from $10 million to about $30 billion. Now that's not all from the county fund, but we get grant funds from the federal government, from the state government, and we garner as many items of funding for services to kids and families that we can get. So we have a lot more resources today than we did when I started. I'm proud of that. I had something to do with it. I didn't deal, you don't make it all happen. The people around you make things happen. You just kind of get out of their way. So again, I'm proud of that. And if I have to leave after November the 6th, I'm satisfied that I did some good work and made some inroads into people's lives. At the same time, I'm not done doing it. I'd like to keep doing it. So, I want your vote on November the 6th, as some of you wonderful people have already voted, and you voted for me, so that's wonderful. And to those who haven't, or have friends that haven't, I would say, if you believe anything about what I'm telling you, I'm the most qualified person, I've got the most experience, and I'm the person you should vote for to run your juvenile justice system, which, by the way, if it is not the best juvenile justice system in the country, it is very close. And it's very close, if not the best, in the entire state of Ohio. Now, there's some other courts that think they're good, but I've been to about 100 different juvenile courts in my career, and I have not yet found one that does it, I think, as well as we do.